Now we're going to do the charcoal grayscale, and I'm going to show you the different tools I'm going to use here. So I've got a little piece of vine charcoal. I have charcoal pencil, piece of compressed charcoal, kneaded eraser, vinyl eraser, although I probably won't use that, rag, and I'm ready to go. Start with my vine charcoal. Remember, this is a very soft, just pressing that down a little bit, soft kind of charcoal. It'll never go really dark, but it's great for your first layer. Remember, charcoal's a little messy. That's why I have set up my paper with some extra tape and a little bit of tracing paper to guard against too much dust and stuff getting all over the paper where I don't want it. So I'll rub it out. Remember, it's never going to go very dark. I'm going to give it a couple of layers. First layer is almost always kind of uneven. Vine charcoal will get darker up to a point, but beyond that point it will stay pretty light. I'm going to do one more pass with my vine charcoal. This time I'll rub with my finger. And then I'm going to actually rub with my rag. You can see that my lines pretty much disappeared, so I'm going to draw them again. They'll disappear again, but I just want to have a guide for this next part. By the way, charcoal and graphite are not terribly compatible with each other because graphite is a slippery, shiny, metallic substance, whereas charcoal is a very soft, chalky substance. However, there are ways of working with them together. Just a little bit of a rub there. Now, unlike the pencil, the graphite pencil, we're going to start quite differently. Rather than trying to build up areas quite as much, we're going to go straight for our dark using a compressed charcoal stick. This is very soft. I'm not going to go right up to the edge because I will use my charcoal pencil for that. It's harder to control the compressed charcoal stick, but I can use my charcoal pencil to get right up in those corners. Charcoal is made to be smudged, so I'm just going to use my finger here. If you rub with the rag, it'll take a lot off, so I generally don't do that. That's a pretty solid black. I could probably go a little blacker, but I want to switch now to my charcoal pencil. Just going to clean up that edge. Remember, if you blow on charcoal, you have to be very careful because you don't want it to get any moisture on it. Now this second square, I'm going to use my charcoal pencil. One thing I want to check is, do I have a nice flat edge on my charcoal pencil? Because that really helps me lay down a smooth layer of charcoal. Notice how I'm using the same kind of technique, what's called a hatching line. I'll have to clean up my edges a little bit. And here, here, here. I'll go over it again in a different direction. Remember, every time you go over in a different direction, it creates more of a woven type of surface, a little bit more integrated, smoother. Best not to scribble though, because scribbling will create too much texture. So I'll do a third layer, the horizontal hatching line. Again, keep your pressure really even. And just a tiny bit of cleanup right in there. I'm going to use my finger again to rub it. Notice how much darker it gets. That's true for compressed charcoal and charcoal pencil, not for vine charcoal, obviously. So that gives me a very nice, rich, dark gray. I'm going to keep moving over. Find that flat spot if I can. If I want to create a flat spot, I can simply rub my charcoal pencil on a surface to flatten it out a little bit. Again, try to keep the pressure even. Sometimes it's hard. You don't have to worry if you go too dark because you can erase out, and I'll show you that in just a minute. It's kind of, I'm getting a lot of line in this one. It probably needs to be a little bit flatter. I could use a piece of, what do they call it? I can't think while I'm drawing. Sandpaper. Sandpaper works really nicely to flatten out the charcoal. This one's a little bit patchy. Let's see what happens when we rub. Notice how I'm rubbing right up to the edge. I really want to, I don't want to have any kind of halo effect around the edges of my values. That's not too bad. This one needs to go darker. My trick for that is to pick up some charcoal from the darkest area and then rub it in. So that's not too bad. I feel like it's just maybe could go actually a little bit lighter. I can use my kneaded eraser to kind of blot a little bit. Or very, very, very lightly rub. It's going to create a little bit of a mottled surface, uneven surface, but I can take my finger and rub to smooth it out a little bit. That's a little bit more even. So there's the charcoal, much faster, but takes a little bit more practice if you're not used to working with charcoal. Charcoal's so great for fast value, getting things down fast, but it can go very, very detailed. So I'm going to stop the video for a moment, take off the tape so you can see this without all that tape around it. Now that I've taken off the tape and I can see my values a little bit more clearly, I can really see that this one still needs a little bit more light in it. So again, I'm going to just rub it very, very lightly with the kneaded eraser. I don't want to make it too light. I might have to adjust the one next to it a little bit too. But not pressing very hard. I'm almost just using the weight of the eraser itself as the pressure. Smooth that out a little bit. That's a better step from here to here, but I need a little bit lighter on this one too. So again, just come in and very, very lightly. Oops, I can use the other side. Rub. Don't worry if it looks a little choppy. Rubbing with your finger or the stomp or tortillon will help you even it out. That's better. That's much better. I could even go a little lighter. I could even come in here. Again, it's if I use the rag, it helps, but now I've taken off my tape, so I don't want to push this out into the rest of the paper. So I'm just going to use my kneaded eraser one more time on this. Lighten that up a little bit. Rub. And then finally, just a tiny bit lighter here. So there we have a grayscale in charcoal.